let's talk a little bit about the special city council meeting on the chloride issue. And I won't go through the whole thing over again, you know, because you guys are probably so tired of hearing me talk about this. But if the new stormwater fee wasn't enough, the chloride issue has been sitting there lurking around for the last 10 years, and it is equally or more devastating. But in this case, we have more local control. Or do we? You know, I had this discussion with Mayor Keller, and I said, you know, what if you just say no? We just say no. And he said, well, if we just said no, the Regional Water Board would take over the sanitation district and we'd lose local control. And I looked at him and I said, well, Bob, if the sanitation district can tell us what to do and how to do it, what local control do we have? Right? That's not local control. But we do have some local control because our sanitation board is made up of currently Supervisor Antonovich, Mayor Keller, Councilmember West, and McLean is an alternate. So we have the ability to see those people and ask them for changes. And I thought it was very interesting because I've been doing projections of costs. And at this last city council meeting, when I asked them for what their strategy is, and they all didn't want to talk to me about it, and Councilman Ferry said, well, you're putting the sanitation board members in an awkward position. I don't really care if they're in an awkward position. I just want to know the truth. And Councilmember McLean said, look at all these numbers. Where are these numbers coming from? I got to tell you what, if they got better numbers, I want to see them. But so far, I haven't seen any numbers from them. So when we're talking about this, that's a potential, you know, this is just a projection based upon, well, maybe if we built it this year and we had it operating by 2015, what would it cost? And we're to raise our bill from maybe what it currently is at $273 approximately, depending upon your property size. And just to build it, maybe up to $719 a year. And then when it's running, up to $1,200 a year. And remember, that's not including the fact that the actual increased rate for our sanitation district, since our sanitation district became the Santa Clarita Valley Sanitation District, is 11% per year. Now, all you need to do is project that out a little bit. But at the last council meeting, at the last Canyon Country Advisory Committee meeting, someone said, made some comments about the local water quality control board, about that they have a lot of members from Ventura. And that was at one time true, but it is no longer. So I want to show you who these people are. And their mission, this is off of their website, is to preserve and enhance water quality in the Los Angeles region for the benefit of present and future generations, if they can still be here after we've taxed them to death. And to carry out their mission, this is on their website. These are the things that they do. They prepare waste discharge requirements, including National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permits. Now, when someone says to you, all this is happening because of the Clean Water Act, the Clean Water Act does not set any standards. It indicates that local agencies, state agencies, have to form groups and have to provide for the issuing of permits and establishing limits. That then falls to the Port of Cologne Act, which is a California act which creates this regional water board type of activity and allows them to set the limits for your permit. But notice the second little red arrow. I just thought I'd throw that in because it says implements and enforces local stormwater effects. So here we have another agency also that already is tasked with doing that. And then it says it enforces water quality laws, regulations, and waste discharge requirements. So that's they're going to set limits, they're going to issue permits, and they're going to go beat you if you are violating those permits. So here's the Regional Water Board. And Maria, who's the chair, she lives in La Cañada. And she was a Vice President of Urban Transportation Planning. Charles, who is the Vice Chair, he lives in Los Angeles. And he was a General Counsel with Renewable Resources Corp. And also he was a policy advisor to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. So you can tell we've got a totally unbiased group of people here so far. Maria is a strategic communication engagement firm. She's a mediator, or probably a facilitator. And she's also a board member on the West Urban Forum and Stanford Board of Governors. Lawrence Yee, now we're going to start getting close to the ocean. He lives in Ojai, and he is co-founder of and director of Food Commons, a large national project dedicated to designing and developing a new economic paradigm and whole systems approach for regional food. Sounds worthwhile to me.
Al,
What?
the lady Maria Camacho was director of Consensus Inc. is who did all those presentations for all the high-speed rail thing out here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to look at those people some more. Yeah, I think that's really great. Irma didn't want her picture taken, so it's not on the website. But she's the president of Women of the Earth, an environmental equity organization that teaches women and their citizens to take ownership and leadership of neighborhood issues and challenges. So that's in L.A. Now we have two people who should be very familiar to you. You should remember who these people are. There's Francine Diamond, and she lives in Pacific Palisades. She serves on the board of the Santa Monica Bay Restoration Commission, the California League of Conservation Voters, and a member of the City of Los Angeles Proposition O Citizens Oversight Advisory Commission. Francine Diamond was one of the water board members that, in conjunction with Zev Yaroslavsky, ran the fundraiser for Esther Feldman, who is the prime owner of Community Conservation Solutions, to which Lorraine West is currently a treasurer. And Madeline Glickfield, she is the director of UCLA Institute of the Environment and Sustainability. She also was the other water board member that was involved in that as well. So how's the board selected? The board selected, it's appointed, the board, the governor of California appoints a 7-member board, and then it's confirmed by the state senate. So, you know what? Here again, we got the same situation. This is one of the deals where everybody's saying, oh, well, you don't have any way of influencing these guys. You've got to go take legal action. I think what we can do is we need to put pressure on our elected officials. They're the guys that appoint these people. And board members must reside in or have a principal place of business within the region that they're setting standards for. And, of course, down there at the bottom, it just says staff does all the work. So here was a special city council meeting on December the 20th of 2012. The agenda was to receive a report from the sanitation district regarding the fine that we received, and then maybe issue a letter of protest to the water board relative to the fine. So we did receive a presentation from Phil Freese. Phil Freese is the chief engineer from the sanitation district. And I'm not going to bore you with by going through it because you've heard most of this. It was a pretty standard. We're doing everything we can to build you the most economical project that will meet the needs of the state requirements And by the way, we're going to build a reverse osmosis plant. And the sanitation district's attorney, not the sanitation district attorney, the sanitation district's attorney. And they were asked a question. Actually, a question was asked by Lorraine West. Well, what happens if we do take legal action? And the answer came back that there have been legal challenges to requirements set by the Regional Quality Water Board, and they have prevailed. So it's not a situation where you can't take legal action and get something done. Anyway, if you really want to see the meeting is on YouTube. I'll include the links. When I got there, I brought my handy video camera and let it run for the whole meeting and then put it out online. So the city of Santa Clarita did send in a protest letter. And these are excerpts from that letter, and it says that they're writing a request that the $280,000 fine be withdrawn because it's an imposition on our ratepayers, and indicates that the city council position was taken at the December the 20th meeting. Now, I thought what was really interesting was that I've listened to presentations about this subject from the sanitation district for the last 5 years. And every time I hear that they said, well, if we only had some new science. The requirements were set on, not really set on real science. If we had some new science, some real science, maybe we could go and do something about this. And so here we hear the same thing. Residents remain concerned that the science has not definitely established a threshold with which damage occurs. And the city requests the board to undertake a process to revisit the chloride limit with a focus on science. When the study was done in the 2005 time frame, do you know who paid for it? Our sanitation district paid for it. Do you know who stopped it? Our sanitation district stopped it. So, if they want science, how come they haven't started yesterday? The City Council hopes that in this process the sanitation district is exploring and exhausting every alternative, administrative, and legal remedy in defense of the interests of the other ratepayers. Great. It's a great thing to think about. So after that meeting, which was an open meeting, they went into a closed session meeting. And I got the minutes of the closed session meeting. And they did a lot of important business. They elected Keller as the chairman pro tem. They got back in a regular session. And the district council advised that no action was taken of a nature that requires disclosure. And so they're in regular session, motion by West and seconded, unanimously carried, and the meeting was adjourned. What'd they do? So we asked. We actually went to I asked at the last council meeting, what's your strategy? What are you going to do? But I, as usual, called into the sanitation district yesterday, talked to Mary Jacobs from the sanitation district, and work on the EIR continues with an expected release date now of spring. And I asked, what spring? That's April or May. So let's catch this. This was originally supposed to take place between last December of 2011 and June. It was supposed to be released, the preliminary version released in June of 2012. And now it's going to take twice as long again for this to complete. There's something else going on. Okay, so what's our sanitation board members doing to protect the ratepayers? Are they doing any new studies to establish that scientific evidence and contest the current 100 milligram per liter chloride limit? Well, they certainly didn't advise the district to do that in open session at the meeting after they received the input. Do they have direction on staff administrative or legal protests? By the way, there are administrative protests. I don't see them doing that either. No answer was provided at our city council sanitation board members were asked at the January 8th city council meeting, what actions are you taking? And like I said, Frank said, well, we don't want to put them in an awkward position, and we got no answer. So the question is, why are they stalling? Because if they stall long enough, we're just going to get hit with this thing, and it's going to hurt us badly. And heaven help them if they're pushing this till after the next election. Yes, ma'am.
Could they be stalling because two of the high priorities for Jerry Brown are, one, high-speed rail, and two, a new water conveyance that bypasses the Delta, which would make the entire issue off the table?
Well, it might, and it may. I mean, we've heard people talk about the Delta issue. You could, it could be a miracle. Jerry Brown, who doesn't have enough money to do the high-speed rail, might cough up with more money to do this bypass the Delta, and the water board would say, oh, everything's fine. But as far as I see right now, when we've listened to the water people in Masada talk about that occurring maybe 10, 20 years from now. And then what do we do? Do we do this in the meantime? Because once we start it, we'll never shut it off. So I hope they got a rabbit to pull out of their hat, but we'll see. We'll keep watching, and I'll keep asking.